I know. The dog didn't have it.
I don't have access to this feature.
You want to hear really get that dog story? Yeah, no. No one does. I mean, either one. No, no. We're old Yeller. Old Yeller is the worst order. Really, oh, God, the original Disney. I will tell you the first one.
It was so easy the last time. I
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what is. It's not letting us pick a different camera. So your Zoom is working with the owl.
Oh, there's no recovery from the dog.
I mean, you are live. I don't know why it's not letting you switch your camera.
Maybe figure out workarounds.
If you go into edit, you should be able to choose your camera here. But YouTube isn't playing nice with the owl today.
Did you go into here? Should I? Oh,
I clicked edit and it's giving me the option, but it's not letting me choose a different camera. So Zoom is using the owl, but YouTube is using your webcam.
You run the ratio.
well,
I mean, you are technically live streaming the meeting.
well then let's just do that.
So you can just cancel. I don't know why it's not.
I wonder if I can just make this. And then, where do I go? How do I start? Is it
So we're already
we're
streaming.
starting?
I started it to see if maybe once we started it, I could switch the camera.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, there is a delay. Oh, look. See, look. Watch.
Yeah, and your computer's running a lot, so I feel like maybe it's trying to do.
Okay, now how am I going to?
So you can have this minimized, and your camera's just going to show it, and then you've got the zoom going.
Wait, I'm gonna.
You can close that one down, and then
Is this
zoom
the
is there.
one?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you've got the zoom going.
I should unmute it, right?
Yep.
I just have to hunt. So the YouTube is going now.
Yep. You are live
then-
streaming. You're just
Can I
not.
just keep this going?
Yep. And another thing you could do. I don't know if that would. I was thinking you could try recording the Zoom and then uploading the Zoom to your YouTube channel after the fact, but I don't know much about how that works.
I'll have to find out from Michael Hoffman. He knows how to do that.
Yeah, I've never done that. I'm sure it's doable. I've just never done it.
Okay.
So that's an option for you if you want the owl version to be what lives on the internet in perpetuity.
Right. Which I do.
Yeah.
But let
So
me
then
see.
you can just go. So if you just drag this up a little bit so you can see the bottom, and then record.
Recording in progress.
Oh, and by the way, regarding that.
And then you can just say unmute myself. So now it'll pick up the audio. So now
Okay.
it's recording the meeting. So at the end, you should be able to download your meeting recording, and then you should be able to put that on YouTube
Okay.
or on your website in some other way.
Is that with the video?
Yep, everything that's going on here is being recorded to the
Okay.
Zoom cloud.
Okay. Okay.
So it gets recorded and shared.
Well,
No, it'll get recorded. It'll get recorded into the Zoom cloud, and then you can either download it and upload it to YouTube, or you can try to move the link so it goes on YouTube. I haven't done that. I mean, I'm a button pusher, so I'm sure it can be figured out. But at least now you've got it recorded, and if instead you just link to this on your website and say, "Here's the recording," like you're still
Yeah.
meeting the requirements
Yeah.
of doing the
For
video.
compliance.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, as you know, that's. Okay. Well, you know what? We'll meet with Michael Hoffman. I know he doesn't do the city of Hudson.
It's just a shut
Okay.
in YouTube.
Yeah, so it's letting you watch it on YouTube. So
I
there's
can watch it on YouTube. but
okay,
I can't
so
edit it on my
there's something coding. Yeah, there's a coding issue with
I thought,
that
yeah, I'm
video.
not seeing it in there. I thought maybe like it was a copyright infringement or somehow like it was being blocked.
No, I
The way it
didn't.
was
I didn't fully read that before. I think that's just a coding error of bringing it over
I
from
just got
YouTube. Yeah. that's a little,
Thank
that's
you
a
so
little
much,
beyond my abilities. I'm not a coder.
Okay, that's.
I mean, I know basic HTML, but I can't embed a video. That's beyond me. I can make your text bold.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. We'll figure it out next time.
Yeah, we know it works. It worked last time.
I'm just wondering if it couldn't be my computer because the Zoom works.
Yeah, for some reason, everything doesn't want to be pound
Play nice, yeah. All right.
That's life sometimes. You do what you can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Should I hang out or?
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, I got what I
You
did.
and I, next week, we'll meet with Michael Hoffman. We'll meet at the fire at City Hall. It's the fireman.
What's your job?
So he's the mayoral aide. He knows, he does YouTube channel. So they'll show us what we're doing, how to take something off Zoom and put it on.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I gotta, there's a setting in here.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Right up there with the sanitarium.
So just so you know.
The bird goes.
Still. And hopefully we're I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, let me know if you want to meet maybe
Yeah.
to figure
Yeah,
out
next
like
week
all this
would be good.
compliance stuff.
Very well. I saw no.
No, you
I know. Thank you.
Now they act like it's like very awesome. I hope I can get it. We get some very simple.
Well, I sent him to Chris and Paul. Oh, they.
I know this is in 2 weeks. No, wait, look at it. Right.
I did. I saw that she did. It was yesterday. Yeah, late in the day, it was at night, like 7, 6 o'clock. Oh, yeah, I got that. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff attached to it. Yeah. That black area.
Easy to. Children.
Did I leave my walk?
That's
all right. That's okay. You know what? That's okay. Nothing personal. Just clarity.
That's your car, baby.
That's a very good. It is soft. It's like a cave. I got a very small.
That's what I was
Yeah.
I remember letters around.
Here.
There was an unusual letter.
Stan gave me the color gavel.
Uh,
I'm gonna call the meeting to order.
You know, the secret to that is.
Only on himself. So I'm calling the November meeting to order. Are there any comments on the October minutes that were sent around, yesterday to some people? If there are no comments, can I have a motion to approve the October minutes?
I make that one.
Call first, second?
Second.
All in favor, yes, that's one abstention, I agree with you, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? I'm abstaining. So, welcome to the just after Thanksgiving, November board meeting. I hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving with your families and friends and we just want to do it. I am gonna follow up in my remarks this morning on the work that we've been doing, in the course of this month. As a result of the strategic planning sessions that we did, we have been busy researching and fact finding a lot of the material that we feel we need to know about the Hudson Health Factor. Many of you have been involved in helping do that work, and I really appreciate your time and effort. It's been very helpful. I want to remind you, we began thinking about this building in April, which it is to believe. So we've had 7 months of exploring this idea using the feasibility study as the backbone of our original thinking and our future thinking. We continually glad that work was done because it did give us considerable leg up on the process of doing it. And I think it still remains in my mind a very promising project for Hudson, and I know many of you agree with that. I know that this has been a long haul, and I know it's not over, but I do think we're making great progress. So, briefly, so to get into our main business, we've had continued conversations with clients to close the bank. So I need to get the name of the person. Okay. And we've been talking to other finance folks that are not necessarily in the lending community here, which we'll continue doing. John has been working on a pro forma, which, as you know, many developers who would consider thinking about this need to know what a pro forma plans for the building. And he's been doing some real good work on that, and we'll go over that later and begin to talk about that later in this meeting. I am in frequent touch with Dr. Drummer of Columbia Community College, as you know, they elected a new provost, hired a new provost, and I have a meeting this Friday to meet with her and the provost to update, just to bring her up to speed on what we've been doing. So, we just didn't disappear, we still remain very interested. I would like to also get some thinking from them on how much square footage they might want to utilize, or if they could think of as their footprint in the building. Get them at least thinking about that. I don't expect to walk away with that information, but I do think it would be good if they could have the programs in it and put in there, begin thinking about that and how much square footage to put in that. So that's the goal of the meeting on Friday. I have continued to talk and attend the school board meetings, the various members of the Hudson City School District, Dr. Cunningham, Matt Parker, who is the finance person for the school district. He's been very helpful in getting some information back and forth, and it's been a very long road, but we think we're making very good progress. Jan and Paul are working on our website, and we're finishing up our compliance documents. We're going to talk about that a little bit more today when we get to that part of the agenda. But we are also ready to close out the year and begin the audit process, which Phil is going to take us through the preliminary talk about how that works. So I do want to say before I wrap this up, there's 2 other items I'd like to talk about. One is HDC has been in collaboration with Hudson Hall and the City of Hudson in the production and implementation of Winter Walk 27, the 27th year, which will take place this Saturday beginning at 5 p.m. in front of Hudson Hall. Dean Garrett is going to kick off the launch of Winter Walk in front of Hudson Hall at 5 p.m. And everyone who's participating in this, including HDC, is encouraged to come to that for the beginning of the event. They're going to ring the church bell 27 times, which I can't wait to hear. So that's happening. I do think, HDC contributed $5,000 to support the work of Helen Wright as a coordinator. in Hudson Hall for the walk, all the details that need to be strung together. And there are thousands of them. She's been doing a really great job and has proved to be an incredibly valuable resource for Sage Carter, who basically runs the winter walk effort and the other support people at Hudson Hall Planning included. And Paul. And you know, she's just been doing a fantastic job, and it's been a really big job for the rest of the city. Hudson Hall has been really happy for what their mental health has been incredibly forthcoming and on top of a lot of, you know, clearances, permits, police, fire, all of that. And I, on behalf of HDC, volunteered to curate the food portion of the walk. So there are some interesting food trucks coming, and the restaurants that are willing to vend on the street are really enthusiastic about that. So there'll be a lot of variety to walk around and eat. And so I hope you're all coming and supported it and financially with us. So let me go. Finally, I got a call yesterday from Dan Hinkle of the City of Hudson Fire Department regarding the Oakdale Plunge. The Friends of Hudson Youth, who have been running the event for the last few years, Peter Frank especially, are not doing it this year. They have stepped down from the production and had it. It takes place on March 4th. This event raises money for the Hudson Fire Department Deep Water Rescue Unit and the Hudson Youth Department. Last year, they raised $56,000. If you haven't been there, it's a teams plunge, and they get support, financial commitments from people to support their plunging. It's a lot of fun. Dan was first looking for someone to produce the event because it's not being produced by Hudson. That's not in our wheelhouse to produce an event like that. But what he really was thinking we might help him with is our 501c3 status, where we would, the money that they raise, whoever produces it, the money that they raise would come through our account, and then we would distribute it to the Hudson Youth and the fire department. I said that we would discuss that, and we have experience doing that in fact over years. Phil has recently, with the tree effort, done a vision of how that works. So it's not a hidden, it's its own entity within that. So I think that we'll continue to talk to him. He's going to meet with the Liz UR who runs Hudson Youth on Wednesday and find out a little more about what we expect them to be doing. Okay, that's pretty much it. So with that, let's go back to the agenda, and I'm going to turn to Phil for the treasurer's report.
Okay. Thanks very much, Joe. Apologize for not getting this to you virtually a couple days prior. Between Sue and myself and Thanksgiving, we missed contact a couple of times, but we were able to do this morning, and I'll get a digital copy of it. There are no changes of significance that we would like to be included board notice. Versus the previous report, essentially all we've done is pay bills as necessary on a monthly basis, and an income from the brokerage. So nothing is outlined or extraordinary for discussion.
Does anyone have any questions on anything about it? I know we're just looking at it, so.
If you don't in this meeting, absolutely get to me, email that, you know, with any questions. While you're looking, maybe I'll talk a little bit about the other process. We actually did, with the help of everybody here, kick off the process, because for us, audit is not just the financial audit, it's also the public authorities tariffs audit. And they happen concurrently, and in different senses, they're kind of connected to one another. So what we did get done, and I sent all a note at the time is, the 2024 budget, and you see it 3 years projected. That has to be entered into comparison, so 3 might put 1. At the end of the calendar year, the sort of major part of the audit process kicks in. The first step is basically talking to UHY, our auditor, with all their access to QuickBooks, access to brokerage information, other things they need. Sometimes they require permissions from me, sometimes not so much, but right after the first of the year, that kicks in. The Paris questionnaire itself is a limited public service solutions. It isn't even strange. It asks some questions that are not clear, and it asks some very pointed questions, most of which are about accountability and oversight. Over and over again, in each category, the question is likely to be about how many times this year did the treasurer log into QuickBooks, if that's where your accounts are held? Is there someone responsible for reviewing each and every bank statement as it arrives? Describe that process. So the UHY does their bit, and we partner with our newly found advisor and UHY to complete the process. And that will take a couple months.
So what's it do?
I really don't remember. It's something like maybe April. Yeah. But we try to get them before that gets to be done. That's my story.
Do you have to, they automatically, it's automatically knows that we're going to be using it?
Yeah, they have to submit a proposal for the year.
Okay.
But they've already started work. So they called and asked me, is there a reasonable likelihood
Okay.
that we're going to be
Okay.
rehired?
Good.
And I said it seems very, very
Because I
high.
don't want to lose.
Very,
I
no,
don't want to lose a place.
no, I don't want to start plug and play again.
Okay.
The connectivity in these things is real, and the permissions, particularly on the brokerage information, are painful.
Okay, well,
Anyway, so
let us know
we're
when
happening.
that's finished.
Thank you.
That's good. Okay, do you have any?
And that falls under professional fees, right?
Yes, that whole category of stuff. I asked, I'm losing the name of my bookkeeper.
Susan.
I asked SVT to collapse some of these things so that we can kind of work with one page. Anything you want pulled out at the next level of specificity, we can run a report for anybody in the board.
Just to be clear, the people that will be working on the audit will be the finance committee and
The
And
finance
UHY.
committee and audit committee
Yes.
overlap to the extent
Yes.
that we should discuss how to populate that if we're doing the same thing.
Okay, and, so are there any questions in the budget? John?
On this financial statement,
Okay.
there's a investment.
It's not relevant to this report.
So that should be, that should be.
It should be struck in.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
The new finance.
Okay, and I have a motion to approve the return of the financial report. As amended, thank you, as amended.
Lawyers.
Okay. First, John, second, Paul, all in favor? Opposed? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, item 5, the progress report on Hudson Gulf. I kind of sketched it for you, but as you remember, I was introduced to a firm in Manhattan that works with nonprofits that do real estate investment and implementation of property by Mary King, who was the former chair of the Atlanta Partnership and is on the board of the Columbia Banking Services and is a lawyer and was a lawyer in New York City and is a friend. And John and I had a call with them before our last board meeting. We discussed the Hudson Hub idea and the board's interest in finding a partner to help us understand how to really implement this in the best possible way. They are very interested in this project and it's been a lot of time calling and talking to me in the last couple of weeks. We were hoping that they would be able to turn a proposal around today, but they're working really hard on it. And we should see something from them by the end of the week, I think. And at that time, what I would propose to them is that we would, share it with the board and then maybe have a Zoom call for them to take us through it so they can present their work. Or if even better, if they want to go and come up here and, utilize that, we've done it very good. But anyway, it's coming and I'm very excited to see what they have in mind for us. The second part of this is the grant process. We discussed activating our grant work, writing, and last meeting we met Jess Waller, who's a Hudson person that's here, who's done some work for the city in grant writing, and is quite enthusiastic about the Hudson idea. I spoke to her yesterday in Scotland, in the Highlands of Scotland, where she's taking the waters with her family. And she'll be back next week. So what we talked about is establishing a scope of work for the grant that we would like her to participate in helping us do, and some kind of a timeline. I told her that I would work on that and see, what we thought we needed. But just to begin with, the areas that I'm interested in her pursuing is one thing, giving us an overview of the grants that are available, government and state grants that are available on a rolling deadline, or not, as a general landscape. And then from there, focusing grants on capacity building, which we define as project managers, people that do things that would help us move the ball along, and energy grants for bringing the building into better energy efficiency, and also grants for infrastructure and remediation of asbestos and mold and water damage and other things like that. So really building related grants, not so much building medical grants to begin with. And of course there's other private money available too, but we're going to start first with New York State. I envision after talking to her that depending on the number of grants that we asked her to write for, that it's a timeline of multiple grants, might be somewhere around 3 months if December is sort of getting the ball rolling. And I asked her what her fee was to do this, and she gave me a range because she said it really depends, of course it depends on what it is. Her fees range somewhere from $50 an hour to $100 an hour. So that's lower than. She did say some of the grants have, she can build the money into the grant, so that's good to have. That's what where we are with that, and I feel very good that all the conversations I've had with her, I think she's a very smart woman, she's very enthusiastic about Hudson and the project, and looking to really get her teeth into this. So that's the grant piece. And then finally, the pro forma, which John has been working on. I just want to say a pro forma is for the sake of form, and in real estate, it's a financial document that uses methods of calculating financial results using certain cost projections and presumptions. And it's a very complicated thing to do, and everybody's good at it. Like we have John with us, and he has been working on the financial picture, which will inform some decisions that we have to make. So I'm going to let you speak about where you are.
Well, we started with the that stuff.
These are the
it provides good measurements for the space, gross measurements. And I just stayed with gross measurements. I didn't concern myself too much with specific room sizes or whatever. We also followed that study's assumptions concerning the city's use. So the city of Hudson actually ended up being the largest user of space. That's City Hall, the Senior Center, and the City Gate. That's about 26,000 square feet. That leaves 20,000 square feet of rentable space. Some of that is common space in both numbers, some of it is not. The vast majority is not. All the common space is kind of taken out of the 10 square feet, but there's still some in the same place. Anyway, so about 20,000 square feet. I have a number of models that show what that might look like, depending on what the uptake is, right? The tenancy uptake, and what those leases index. Typically, the tenant that sign a lease, they don't move in the next day. It may take a couple of months to customize the space. It's already built out, and they want that so it's got them running, and they build, and that's going through a design and approval process. It takes some time. So from when we sign a lease to when that lease starts producing, it could be 6 months. And then how fast we can sign leases. So based on those different models, that really determines how the revenue is generated. But really, and we can guess on some of that stuff just based on experience. And we know that there's a demand for rental office space in the city. The big problem is we don't have any comps. No real sense of what the comparable office space goes for. I know what I pay for mine. I don't know what you pay for here, but it's low. So it's not a big comp. I know what Colin charges for his building up the street. And he has an elevator, so that may be the best for us. But that's, it goes to point out the dearth of data. The reason why it's important, obviously, 2 reasons, right? So we can understand what we can expect to earn. But beyond that, we know that if we're borrowing from, well, I'm sure it's any bank is going to want us to have these community reinvestment credit available to them for doing business with us, which also makes it easier for us to borrow and at a higher level, and keeps our interest rate not low, but lower than it would normally be. And that requires us to discount our rents. But we don't know by how much. And I don't know what the comps are, so I can't really say. So I'm making stuff up here. So it's variable driven.
We were also trying to find out the cost, which we're still looking on, the costs that the school district incurred on the building the last 2 years that it was open in terms of food, light, and all that stuff. And they're having a difficult time giving us that answer because apparently
The building out was right.
the way that they account for it is all the schools in one number. So the other way into that would be to take the 2 years that it was empty and the 2 years before it was empty and back out. What's the difference between those two and what theoretically should be done? We haven't.
Well, because it's not a zero.
No.
It's still a long building.
They suggested that we could call it the utility company.
It's pathetic. But maybe it's short.
I'm still on hold, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's still maybe the shortest distance between those two points. Like knowledge and not having knowledge.
The key is that the concern of the therapist, the routine, where, you know, if you're good patterns and you're doing it wrong. Yeah. I think it's
It's going to be very complicated.
You know, there might be a number available in New York State bus have like a whole school lobby, and they can probably tell us what is the average cost per square foot for a public school in New York State that's, you know, that kids
But I think this points out to everybody that what this is a pro forma is really basically a projection based on assumptions that kind of
correct. There's also the question of maintenance because some of this space is going to be demised under deed. Our expectation is that the top floor of the building, which under both of the assumptions in the study, it would be City Hall, that space would be given to the city either at, you know, a discount or for nothing. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what the real numbers are, but there's still going to be a maintenance cost associated with that space. It'll be a savings to the city because right now the city maintains and like 9 spaces, all of which are ancient and inefficient. To even have efficient systems, people who have efficient systems. So maintenance will be less expensive on a square foot basis for the city here. Then there's the senior center and the vehicle. So those are negotiations that figure that out. And you know, altogether, those three uses. Um, 10, 13, 15,000 square feet. The outdoor space in the rear would be where the daycare would be on the bottom floor. Because it has to be that way. And you would also then have protected access to playground. No traffic.
The city doesn't operate.
Yeah, no, well, whether it's the city or it's just something that we're providing, one way or another, you have to budget maintenance for the building. I don't know how the senior center operates, but the same thing would follow. The very small, 35 All right, so if you think that, I think, my guess would be, I could look at city center, and I can look at Collins, and my guess is it's gonna come in between 21 and 22 dollars. Yeah, it's not a comp, it's not really comparable. Yeah, you're not paying as much because you're not getting as much, so it's not really comparable space, I think, for our analysis, and we want to be able to, and whoever we show this to, right? I mean, generally speaking, you don't show somebody a business plan that says, like, we're going to lose a ton of money, and never turn positive. It's going to go like this, and then the question is, when does this happen, and where does this stop, right? And when does it cross expense? Cumulative expense, so there's actually a net profit on the building. I mean, for our purposes, we just need to with the total expense, which includes some of the management. So it's got to be self-sustaining, just like any other enterprise. Nobody's going to be able to trust such a tenants. But I think we can probably come in at maybe the $16 square foot range, and that would give us gross revenue of $320,000, which is too low to service them. is I think the most gonna cost, just on the, once you compare $2 million mortgage and a $8 million construction loan, gives you a total of a $10 million mortgage at 8.25%, and 36,000, 37,000. So, yeah, there you go. So that the question really becomes, how close to the bone that is, and then what the maintenance is, because the maintenance, there may be some higher maintenance costs for the non-public use, the private use. And that's especially true if you can condominium that space out. Because the great thing about doing that is the property goes up to tax rolls. And we don't have to collect that. Well, we don't have to collect it. And we get paid up front, regular funders, and that goes to pay off our loan. And that just brings down the total cost of our borrowing, because we're making large racks out of it, as opposed to having, $40,000, $50,000.
And but there will be a monthly charge to come up for the maintenance.
There has to be. People who are using, the entities that are using the space, nobody operates in a zero, maintenance environment. Nature's constantly trying to come in, and so it has to stop. So, yeah, everybody has to pay some maintenance. Now, maintenance is generally at cost, although there are administrative costs that go from that as well. And that's where whoever we hire or bids to manage this stuff, to be the site manager, when it's up and running, whoever's running it. Cities do. Most cities do it. Cities do it. They become students. Sure.
Is there a difference between the implementation?
No.
Same model.
The good thing
There's
is,
different words.
Yeah.
the good thing is, a lot of it, you won't be deferring maintenance if it's so often done. It's, everybody was starting with a first rate, up to snuff, building,
The other great thing about condo space too, is you sell it production. Right? I mean, somebody's like, I want 10,000 square feet just for the number. I want this 10,000 square feet. I'll pay it off, and that's it. Right up the deed, it's yours. Now, build it out. And we don't have to do anything. And we have to provide the insurance, the ours, in case there's any leak. I mean, it's a good way to minimize the building's costs on fitting out space. Otherwise, they'll get a first rate infrastructure with, the cheapest sheet rock we can get.
but I'm talking about the maintenance side. Looking at
Yeah,
maintenance.
yeah, right, yeah, no, I'm going also be wrong, but be very wrong. Sure. Sure. And I would believe that there are businesses that prefer to own them, right? I would believe anyway. So that's, we're probably looking at right now, if I had to guess, I'd say that the annual revenue on the building would be $500,000. And that's tight. But that assumes that, I don't know how to build the cost of the management of the building into that. Yeah. I haven't figured it out. Once I do that, maintenance is going to come up. And again, from our point of view, what we're trying to do is break even, not pay off. So, I think it's doable. It really depends on how the space is used. If we have bigger tenants, we'll be in better shape than smaller tenants. It'll be more attractive space. They tend to be, either state funded, like we were talking about. So they'll be able to pay, a certain level, and they could easily fund assuming you can get all those people subsidies. But if you can, so I mean that's really where I'm at now. We need to talk to Brian about what the discount is to median area rental, and I'm going to ask him what he thinks the concept. And so that'll refine the top line a little bit, and then I'm going to try to understand the maintenance portion, particularly the management. And so that'll end up giving us a total contract of gross, net gross monthly revenue. We can back out the maintenance as an expense, and what's left would be our borrowing. And hopefully we can get that down. And time is somewhat on our side.
How do you structure the difference? Are you looking at acquisition and build out or both together?
It's done separately, so there would be an initial loan, which would be the purchase of the building, which would be, we think about 70%.
I got it. I feel from the stickers on this, of taking out the renovation costs from this initial money. So, a purchase of what, $2,250,000 for a total loan of $2,100, $15,100. And then the loan payment would be about $17,500 a month over 25 years. And the closing cost would be about $55,000. So, that's the broad estimate.
So that's eminently doable number, but that leaves out the restoration.
Yes.
I think he said he thought, he was looking at another up to eight.
Yeah.
Because he has authority up to years. Now, if the city takes that top floor, then we can refinance 20% of the loan at a lower rate because it can be bonded by the city, which would be their bond. And it can be offset against the sale of existing property. So it would be essentially a cashless transaction in the city. I actually think that's the existing city halls worth more money than 11,000 square feet is built in terms of architectural importance and value of the building. So it would maybe be a transaction in the city just on that 50 space. And that leaves the other big properties to be sold essentially. So there you go. I mean, it's still not understandable, and it's not actionable yet. And so it can't be shared with anybody yet. And it will form no sense, but it's getting there. By the end of the month, not this month.
That's 2 more. That's 2 more days.
The other thing too is that once we start punching on construction costs, once we get a better idea of how the building.
Right, and none of that assumes zero replacement of grant money, which I think is not realistic. I think that we could expect, a couple of million. For grant money, I mean, frankly, if a recent project got funded to 3.5, and its major business plan is to take a existing cooperative that pays no rent and turn it into a rent paying entity somehow, seems like you should be able to get that money out. But this for Sean.
Well, I think the kind of work that this project is many of the, most of the money that's available is designed for things just like that. So even just my preliminary review of things that are possible, it could be like forward and not like for that. Well, that would be good for this, and that would be good for child care. It's good a lot of.
And adaptive reuse.
Yes, adaptive reuse is good. And net zero, energy costs, things like that. So, okay, that's really good work. Also, some of the financing conversation will come before when we get the proposal from, Golden Wolf, because they spoke at length in our call about private funding for things like this at a very rate. So, I'm looking, and I did say to them, I'd like to know more about that, and the proposal, I'd like to know more about what you would give us, what you'll get, we know what it will cost us. So I'm looking for financial numbers too. So thank you. Any questions that anybody have?
What they do.
What?
Yeah, I don't know, that's another one I was doing.
Well, it might be thinking of big different uses that we, from the feasibility study that we can consider doesn't have yet.
Well, one's probably the water treatment plant, the other's the wastewater treatment.
Yeah.
City Hall. How many buildings in the center?
Yes.
Two. And the youth center, so. That's it. The theater, and then solar dome? Oh, it's one that was behind. This is the. Anyway, I mean, there's some number. It'd be great.
Yeah, can't move the water treatment. I don't know much about water treatment. Okay, so thank you. And that, any other questions or any ideas anybody has if they want to contribute about the housing process, please chime in, call, so we're going to move to the new business section of the day. I'm going to convert the next two items. I'm going to move to the nominating committee first, and then move from there to the policy documents because it's the whole complicated. So here we are. The nominating committee, which is made up of me, Kristen, and Seth, met with the family Brett Zuckerman, who's with us today. So hi, Brett. Very patient Brett. We're going to move forward for board membership. I know Brett for a while, and she's the person who has been responsible for writing the grant that was written and succeeded to bring fees to Hudson and supervise the implementation of funding around various places and pads and they're beautiful and thriving, I think, coming on. Brett is a national award-winning landscape architect with over a decade of experience. She believes in cultivating a deeper connection with nature through thoughtful design. She focuses primarily on ecological, commercial, and high-end residential projects with extensive experience in New York City and throughout the country. She joined Dirtworks with firm in 2016, bringing a deep proficiency in technical design and construction administration combined with the artistry of home planning. She's a registered landscape architect and member of the Associate American Society of Landscape Architects. She holds a master's degree from Columbia University, where she graduated with a class, and a bachelor's degree from NYU's Gallatin. Brett has lectured at NYDG, ASLA, New York, AIA, New York chapter, as well as the Project for Public Spaces International Placemaking Conference. In various topics such as green roof design, designing for persons with disabilities or stewardship of public places. She has been an enthusiastic person to work with on the tree effort, very engaged, get things done kind of person. You hit the ball to her and she hits it back, and I'm going to let Nick say anything you need to
Well, I've known Rich for a
say.
number of years now, and I'm highly recommended. I also have to say, I'm a little biased because I've got some wonderful plantings in front of my house. But I was asked, and I know, and they're lovely. I will say, I am, as a matter of fact, I'm following the instructions to the left. And I also, and this is, I think, will bring a perhaps more contemporary perspective. I don't know how to put it.
What are you trying to say?
Trying to say is,
You're
We're
all,
all-
you're all.
to this committee, which I think it needs as well. And I know you're a hard worker, and you're committed to this town, having moved here on your own. And have shown an interest in the welfare and the overall look, and you, I think you'd be a wonderful addition to our community.
Does anybody have any questions on that? You wanna say anything?
I'm interested in this project because I like large scale construction projects. My resume, I didn't submit to any of the comparable projects, but in the region, comparable would be Master Brothers Hospital of the scale. So that's going to be about a $5 billion project. And I was going to be used with architect on that, so for all of the greeneries, helicopter drop off, and nothing seen drop off. And then another project that we kind of comparable is Wildflower Studios in Astoria, which is a huge development project at the final piano site. And I'm working with Robert T. Bradley's development companies and turn that into a production suite for Netflix. That involves adaptive reuse and resiliency to as well as colors. So if we can use the realistic project, we can take what that's a lot of it.
I think it will. I mean, she did walk through the space with me and with our group and had a lot of ideas and, also she did bring forward 3 developers that she's worked with, she and her firm have worked with, and we had a conference call about talking to them about. So she's a networker and a collaborator as well outside of the so I think that should be a great addition to our board. And if there's no other questions, can you just step out of the room? Thank you. And then I'm gonna make a motion to go into the executive session to do this one. First, okay, second floor. So I'm gonna ask for a vote on that, a voice vote. So we can actually yeah, sure. All in favor of asking the vote to join the board? Okay, thank you very much. We're coming out of executive session. Oh, motion?
I make a motion.
They're all second?
We're out.
All in favor? Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, just a second.
That's great, there.
We're so happy to have you. Okay, Brett is,
I hope you enjoy it.
Brett is joining the board and,
It's down there, just as fine as TAC. Proud.
okay, well, thank you for your willingness to participate in our work and we look forward to talking with you later. Cheers. I feel like we should do like a, but there's no champagne, so maybe. So we're gonna move back to the item that I skipped over, which is ratify the additional policy documents. This policy document I was circulated last night, I realize it's not a optimal situation. I'm not gonna ask you to approve these documents today because as much as I would like to make the small corrections to the 4 that we have in the sexual harassment policy, we do have to make sure that they sync up with our bylaws before we ratify them. So that was the kind of extra step that we jumped over that we're gonna jump back to. So the reason this has been so kind of arduous, is that many small businesses like ours and, you know, nonprofits like ours adopt a kind of a boilerplate policy for each of these categories. And, we have some people on our board who are very skilled at reviewing this kind of document and thinking about how it applies in real life. And, you know, I have to give Michael credit and I have to give Bill credit for really being careful and diligent about reading the small, the implications of what the document says. So, we did approve 4 in our earlier meeting. We're not in terrible shape. We just need to have these all done by probably our December meeting. So I think we're in the home stretch, generally speaking. The Hudson Development Corporation Real Property Acquisition Policy is something that I think we should all be really familiar with. This one, there is no problem with. We just want to be sure it is in sync with our bylaws. This is kind of how we're operating and thinking about the General Electric building. And so it gives us permission to do something like this. It gives us permission to acquire real property, and it requires that the board, that we follow this policy and that the board, that the real property should be presented to the board of directors of the corporation for approval under future actions. So this one I think is ready to go, but we're going to check that against the bylaws. The second one, the Audit and Finance Committee Charter. This is a document that they provided us with a document and we already had a document. So what this document is represents what Bill, the Finance Committee, which is Bill, Martha, and John, wrote originally that we voted on earlier in the year. This is populated by that document. So it follows this form, not the form that we report, and it is what we already approved. So that's really not.
They're a little different.
Okay.
This really focuses on the committee.
Yeah.
It really talks about the responsibilities of that committee and the processes of that committee and the powers of that committee, or not power. The finance and investment policy dealt almost not at all with structure. It was about our core theory of safety, market return. I mean, it was very much about the numbers and so on. So we can't actually subsume one and the other. That they both deliver critical information. My proposal to you guys is we merge not the two documents, but the notion of audit as being part of the finance committee responsibilities and just have one committee for both areas.
Okay. Well, one is the charter, correct me if I'm wrong, and one
Right.
is the policy.
That's right. You got the words.
Okay.
And John, maybe you can explain the difference.
Policy. Well, charter is an organic document. Changing the charter is generally more difficult than changing the policy. Policies subordinate to the charter. Policies that can be effective and defined by all time with harmony. And harmony with the charter. The charter is the organic document.
Thank you. That was good.
Okay. So the next one is the travel conferences, meals, and entertainment policy. This is a much less arduous document than the first one that they gave us. The only thing we'd like to change in here is where it says board chair, where it says CEO, change that to board president. And that's in a few places. Other than that, it's fine. We need to travel. The procurement policy. This document is specifically one that we need to check as in sync with our bylaws. The changes here would be where it says contracting officer, and it says it many times, 5 times, change it to the way we do operate today, which is the board chair and the treasurer, and the people that need to, participate in regular board chair and the treasurer. And must be maintaining the record, so we need to keep the record, and the board chair and the treasurer will be the people who sign off on those purchases. These are purchases over, in excess of $15,000.
Are they removing, we discussed the role of ED here. We don't have ED.
Yeah, no, we're only removing anything like that, so it's just board chair. Okay, so those will be revised, they will be cross-checked with the bylaws, and then they'll be circulated to them. It would be great if we could look at them before our next board meeting, and in advance of the meeting, to get their feedback, so if there is a misspelling, something, we can get it fixed in time to get this done.
There's one point, the end of procurement, if the first to get 2 quotes. Somehow, I think we operated as 3, and that is not.
This is from the horses, the attorneys who specialize in this. You know, I don't want to go on a rant about the ridiculousness of the 3-bid period, really the 2-bid period, but they wrote it in such a way that in any number of circumstances, we do not even require 2-bid. Understanding what we're buying is a copy machine from Staples. You can bid it out or whatever, or professional services where continuity matters an enormous amount. And price cannot be determined factor. That's in some of our other policies and our bylaws. So there's not, read that including the footnotes. We can achieve bids, but there are a number of circumstances that enable us not.
Okay, because just from what I can see, we don't have that. This would be the first time that actually.
Yes, yes, it would.
Yeah.
That's why I thought we were operating as getting 3 quotes, but it really never said that anywhere.
We had a difficult time in some cases getting 3 quotes for some services because there's not 3 equal things to bid, and then also to Phil's point, taking into consideration the value of the service for purchasing, what the status of it is. Of course, we don't want to just willy-nilly bid one person, how many things have been good. We just need a process, and it too gives us enough to check according to the lawyers of that service. Copy machines, we shop for the best for price and services. Really professional services, people who work for us in various capacities, 2 bids is enough in their mind to go. So we and then the last policy is the sexual harassment policy, which they recommended. We asked them if they could simplify it somewhat, and they came back to us and said that they recommend that we use the New York State, the simplest of New York State sexual harassment policy guidelines, and also remediation response form. We talked with them, and in thinking about it more, we want to revise it so that a complaint can be made in writing or verbal complaint to someone. The report says that the complaint will be made to the CEO or the board chair. We would like to say that the complaint could be made to anyone on the board, because some people may feel more comfortable making a complaint to someone they know on the board, and we think that's fair. And then when that is made, we'd like it to say that that person has to reach out immediately to our council to discuss the complaint. So it doesn't become like a chain of, did you hear what happened, blah, 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 and don't see the board with fire and that's their friend. It just keeps it on a track, because it's been pointed out to us by people who've actually had these complaints filed. They really need to control the moment after the complaint is made, it needs to go right to an attorney for control. And so we want to make sure that wording is correct and that it feels open enough so you can make a complaint to them that you feel you can make the process. So that's a bit of a change. We want to do a change, so that would be a different.
Chris, I'd also say, while this policy was drafted primarily focusing on sexual harassment, it also notes in there that similarly the same processes avail to the complainant or the complainant, whatever. If it is any other issue related to gender, any form of discrimination, any form of harassment, not just for our organization, but complaints can be made by vendors and other folks we work with. So I'm glad we're taking this extremely seriously, and I'm glad that we created a sense of urgency in the board's mind. If they hear or see something, say something, and
Yeah, something occurred to me. So somebody comes to me with a complaint. And under what you just described, and the way I understand what you said is that I would then bring to the Crystal. But here's the problem. Crystal is the HDC board's attorney. Is there a potential conflict in that? In other words, well, go, yes, thank you.
No, because she represents an organization,
Yes.
not people.
I understand what you're saying.
So if there's a person on the board or employed by us, or I guess even if it's between two vendors, like one vendor is getting harassed by another vendor, and they're working on a project for us, we would accept that. It's about the people, not the organization, unless the organization doesn't respond. So her duty is to the organization. It's very clear. There's nobody for her to be conflicted with. Who do you think that she's conflicted with? Let me ask you that. You
Well,
know, it's-
I understand what you're saying. This is totally a visceral threat.
Yeah.
You know, that suddenly just because I did read over this. And I don't know. I mean, as
I guess maybe you're thinking that should an action go forward?
this is what we've got in action.
It's just about the board's.
What's happening is that once a complaint is made, damage has occurred. It doesn't matter what the backstory is. The damage has occurred into the organization.
It's not necessarily true that.
If we don't respond,
Well, also, I mean, it's the mere idea that we try to fix it, that the committee would try to fix it. But having somebody.
Yeah.
Listen, when you put yourself in her shoes, or any lawyer's shoes, you're gonna put your license on the line to protect somebody? No, never happens. It almost never happens. The lawyer is ethically responsible to determine if there's a conflict.
well,
And our ethical obligation, lawyers, is not to determine that there is a conflict, which we're trying to do. It's to simply determine if there's an appearance of a conflict. If there's the appearance of a conflict, then the attorney must recuse. It's black letter. It's bars and shit.
Did you say refuse?
Recuse.
I don't understand the conflict. So
I'm thinking of it from the point of view of the complaint.
right.
Um,
But how is this gonna best,
Would the complainant possibly be hesitant, knowing that the complaint is going to go to the board's or the organization's attorney?
Well, who else would it go to?
Let me rephrase. So
There's no such thing. Who's gonna hire the independent? Yeah, I'm telling you, like, you're getting caught up in a loop. And you can do this all day. You wanna play tennis, we'll play tennis. Like, I do this all day with you. But there is no conflict. Somebody may be, well, I don't wanna talk to her because she's mean. But, you know,
Do we have an ethics officer? We don't?
this is the entire organization.
Well,
You wanna be the ethics officer?
I think a
I
lot of
want to
boards
nominate
appoint
you.
someone
I nominate
as an
Martha.
ethics officer.
I nominate Martha as the ethics.
But can I say,
Can
Or maybe Seth.
let's stay on the policy for Pete's sake.
Wait,
This is not about a legal action necessarily. It's about responding appropriately to a complaint. We all don't have a ton of experience in that. If you read that document, it's not even whether the complainant wants you to take the complaint forward. You have to.
Which is
If-
why I think we should designate, I don't think it should be any board.
we sort of discussed that, but then we thought like, someone might feel uncomfortable going to that person. So that's why we thought, let's don't have anyone on the board, just have them go right. to
So
someone
in my
else.
organization, your option is to go to this executive director. If you're not comfortable doing that, it's chairman of the board or the ethics officer, who is the secretary of our organization. That's a designation.
Yeah, but you're just constantly kicking the can down the road. If you're not happy with this person, go to that person. If you're not happy with that person, go to that person. You don't like her, go to
We're trying to make it easy for
You're
the
trying to make
complainant.
everyone.
I guess my only concern is.
You make it everybody's responsibility, then nobody's responsible. You send it to the lawyer has ethical guidelines. The lawyer is engaged to do exactly what we're discussing.
Right, will any board member recognize a comment as a potential complaint or what?
Well, we're not supposed, that's not our job.
Don't.
Our job is that if you felt
Yeah, we have to come to the
the fact that you bring it to my attention, this will say, I have to contact our on your
And they will go, if they
It's not
feel they have a
like-
complaint, they release that, they'll go to the stars.
Now, look, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know. Also, I don't wanna reinvent the wheel here. I mean, is this like all organizations like ours do it?
Yeah, small organizations. You don't have somebody, that's what lawyers are for. It's a legal issue. Give it to the lawyer. Who else are you gonna give it to? It doesn't make any sense to give it to anybody else. If you're not a lawyer, you don't have the training to even understand the issue, and you don't have the ethical obligations that we always rely on. That's why we give things to lawyers, because they're fiduciary.
Who would you give it to, sir?
Well, I don't have the answer, but I'm gonna do it.
So the theory of the case in some of the ways these documents are written is that it would go to Chris and or the DPW. And that's one way to do it.
Because both of those people are fiduciaries.
The complication in my mind is the policy demands that interviews take place with the complainant and the perpetrator.
That's just the
We're
process.
not skilled in that, and yet it's a mandatory next step.
Right, so that's why you have to give it to the lawyer. So the lawyer can do this. It's due process. Somebody can't come in and say, I have a complaint against him. And that just is true. Because I said it. It can't be true simply because I said it. People have the right to confront their accusers and to be confronted with actual evidence. And that's true whether it's in an organization or in a court. That's due process. And once you have a policy, this is the reason why all these policies are 90% bad. Because they're common sense, and then there's 10% legal value. You don't need that stuff. What happens though, once you have a written policy, is you have to follow it. You don't follow it, you're liable. That's where due process becomes implicated, because people have rights in their operation of their life here. and interacting with this organization.
I've had an ethical issue with another organization, and someone came forward and said something to me, and it was not only was it untrue, not about me, but about an issue. It was untrue, and in my experience, and it was false, a big falsehood. And I was troubled by what to do with that information. We didn't have a person. Like, what do I do with this? Do I talk to another board member and say, this happened to me? This person said this about this, which I know is a total falsehood, and I'm not going to follow through on that because it's false. So what do I do? The fact that I had a lawyer to go to, even in that organization, and explain what the issue was, gave me the ability to think about it and sort through what needed to be done. I think what we're trying to avoid by saying whatever issue it is, bullying, whatever, I'm going to go to SEC and say, these people are bullying me, I'm surprised, whatever it is. Then we want to make sure the next step is immediate, that it doesn't languish with you worrying what to do about it. Or saying, maybe I should reach out to, maybe I should reach out to Kamal, I wonder if he's had this happen before. That kind of thing. We want to have a path for that to go. And it should go quickly, because if it doesn't go quickly, the people who are involved feel that they're not heard. And being heard is the most important part of this kind of and having a process. So, if Crystal, I can envision that if Crystal had a complaint of some kind brought by me through a board member, somebody who talked to her, I can envision she would act on it with responsibility and really due process quickly. But I think if she felt she couldn't, or she felt there was a conflict of some kind, she would suggest another attorney.
Let me tell you exactly what she did.
Okay.
The first thing she would do is send an email to you and say, I've received this complaint, we need to talk.
Okay.
While she's waiting to hear back from you, she's going to do some research. She's going to look at our bylaws, look at our policies, and see what our obligations are to them. And she's going to look at the law and see what the state says we have to do. And then when she talks to you, she's going to say, these are the things we have to do. And if she feels like there's a conflict, and say, it was against somebody that you had a personal relationship with, she'd say, I can't deal with it because I have a conflict. So we're going to have to look at outside counsel for this.
It's a personal conflict, not an organization.
There's no, right, you can't have an organizational conflict. If she had an organizational conflict, she couldn't avoid that. And it's not any more, I don't believe, it's not any more complex or opaque. And the first thing that the lawyer is going to do to say to both parties after talking to you is going to be like, listen, the next step is a meeting, and we're all going to be there. And you're going to have to repeat what you said in front of this person, and you're going to have to listen to it without getting angry and respond in a reasonable manner, so that I, as the finder of fact, can determine what's going on. And then I'm going to report to the board, and the board's going to decide what to do. That's what happens. And that's what any lawyer would suggest, because it's not the lawyer's choice. Lawyers don't get to make choices, they only get the advice.
The complainant loses no other rights in this process. Whatever we do, basically creating a letter of understanding, goodwill, and a bit of protection for ourselves. The complainant can and may go to the state at any time and file it with the state that control the court. None of their options are minimized. This is a process we're trying to have so that stuff gets responded to, so that people feel better, excuses made, or excuses can't be made to do the right thing.
You want to keep looking at it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We are going on to business roundtable in January. In the beginning of the year, January, February, and March, we held 3 business roundtables. We invited Hudson businesses to come and share their issues and their ideas. And they were all very well attended by a variety of businesses and in Hudson. We got a lot of feedback that they really enjoyed sharing their thoughts and their process. They started at like 9 in the morning to coffee and Hudson retailer provided some snacks and coffee. We thought they would only be good for about an hour and a half, but many of them stayed down in and interacted. And as a result of that, we know that several of them made connections outside of that meeting that helped them in their own business. So this is something that we feel very strongly about participating. I've had a couple of those business people who participated reach out to me and say they want to continue this and when are we going to do another one. So we'll be looking at another, to get somewhere with them. We like the idea that they have the opportunity to share and vent and come up with ideas, but we also like the idea of a coaching mentality. So some kind of expert, maybe somebody who could be a guest speaker on a topic having to do with hospitality, retail, or workforce development, something like that, finding people to work for you. Getting someone to come at the beginning of the meeting and do a little chat about whatever their expertise is, and then being open to questions, and then having some time for them to also share what they're experiencing in the current climate and health in the business. So I'd like to get that going in January again, and ask some people to help get it off the line. Any other questions about anything we should be thinking about? So the December meeting, I did look back into Miranda's notes, and we sometimes did skip a December meeting if there was no pressing business. I think that we do have pressing business, and I think we should keep doing so. I'm proposing that we meet before Christmas, because if it was the 26th, the day after Christmas, I wouldn't be having a good time. So I would hope that we can all make the 21st, and maybe we'll have a special. I mean the 19th, sorry, yeah, the 19th. Is that possible? Anyone do that? Okay. And then in the meantime, in the lead up to that meeting, we might try to have a get together of the board for a holiday toast. Then Dr. Hedda would be our host.
Well, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll, anybody have you want an airport?
What will we be serving? I'm sorry.
So be on the lookout for that, and is there any public comment?
I actually have a question. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but in print and in this meeting, you have to, and I'm sure your entire life this has happened to you, you have to refer, it's grit, not red.
Yes. Britt, as in Brittany.
Brittany Taylor.
Oh, good.
Your mom got to
1 tier 2.
double two. Vegan. All right.
I'll
Um,
respond to that, obviously.
And I often get emails in the store.
Mr. Zuckerman.
Yeah, Britt. That's the last name.
When you she's a really nice dog, Cricket, who told some of you met. The audition.
Yeah.
Cricket was all about auditioning.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, if I have no other public comments, I can ask for a motion to adjourn. John, through first, second, all there, second, in favor. Opposed. Thank you all. Thank you for your service to us.
I'm sorry for the division.
Thanks, Jan.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jan.
Come on, happy
Thank
now.
you.
Wow, thanks for coming. Good to see you. There was lots of, how was your life?